which is another thing I want to talk to you about. Tito Chuck.
Yeah.
As a guy who's retired, who had an awesome career, and you're watching that, and you're seeing a guy come back at 50 and get stopped like that, what did that do for you?
You kind of knew that. I felt that Chuck shouldn't be taking that fight.
Right.
You know, Tito's been competing. Tito's still in there.
Yep.
And then when they stepped in, as soon as they touched up, it's like, yeah, Chuck shouldn't be in here. That's the first time he looked that much smaller than Tito. He didn't look the same size as Tito. He didn't look comfortable. He didn't look as coordinated. Like, Chuck was always a little quirky and awkward in his movement, but he didn't even look like Chuck Liddell.
Right.
He looked like a shell of Chuck Liddell. And as a
Did
person,
you ever see him hitting the pads, like recent video of him hitting the pads?
no.
Did it look terrible?
Yeah, see?
He said he was just warming up. Like, he had talked to Brendan Schaub about it. He says, I always look bad when I'm warming up. But I'm like, it's not just that. Look, it looked like his balance was off. Like,
I get that. I would see if I would have saw that beforehand. I still wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in that because, like, I remember being in the locker room before I fought Hermes Franca the first time in the UFC, and Nick Diaz was in my locker room, and Nick is hitting pads, and he's about to fight Robbie, and he's hitting pads, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna knock this motherfucker out, yeah," and I'm like, "Not the way you're hitting those pads." Like, he didn't look sharp, he didn't look like he had any power, and then he went out there and knocked Robbie out.
well, he probably was just warming up, though, right? Like, sometimes when guys are warming up, they're just trying to get their body moving.
Yeah.
They're not really trying to look like a fighter.
Right.
They're not trying to look like sharp, like they're going to be inside the cage.
And yeah,
So Chuck one. Let's see if you can find that. Chuck Liddell hitting pads. It's different. It's different because it's like his balance looks off. His coordination looks off. It just doesn't look. It doesn't look good. You know. It just there's a. You know. Here it is. Right here. Take a look at this. Watch this.
yeah,
Yeah.
looks like it
See
has
what I'm
no
saying?
pop. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to watch, right? It just looks like, let's see how he throws that kick and leans back afterwards. It just looks look, there's a real issue with someone who's had that many KOs. You've been KO'd that many times. Like, your brain's been scrambled that many times. Like, how is the connection between your muscles and your mind?
Yeah, goosebumps.
Neurologic. Yeah, it makes you uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, it does. Like, and that's Chuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One of the greatest of all time.
I don't know. I don't. And at 49 also, or
Yeah.
50, there's a point.
Yeah.
You know, I almost feel like I would do it again for certain. I'm not trying to be a world champion. I'm not trying to get to Khabib or Dustin and those guys. You know, but like Joe Lozon, Diego Sanchez, somebody that's like from the same era, at least a part of the era that I was in, somebody like that. You know, somebody who I have respect for, and it's going to be fun. It's something, but like I'm not. And I guess that's what Tito and Chuck is. But also Chuck, you beat him twice.
Yeah.
You know,
he beat him twice by knockout, but I think he just felt like he always had Tito's number. But this is the problem: is like Tito wins now.
Yeah.
Right. Like the guy who he never wanted to win now wins.
Yeah.
The guy who wouldn't fight him when he was the champ now is the winner. Like when it all said and done, Tito KO'd him. Yeah. And he KO'd him more soundly than Chuck ever KO'd Tito. Because when Chuck KO'd Tito, he basically beat him down, and then Tito covered up, but he was conscious.
Right.
Like.
Right. Chuck went
Tito
to sleep.
put Chuck out. He put him out. And, it was a good shot for sure, but it just seems like you're dealing with a guy whose brains are, it's just he's been scrambled too many times.
Yeah.
Were you surprised that they made that fight?
I am surprised that the commission let the fight happen.
Yeah.
Yes, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that Oscar De La Hoya, Tito Ortiz came together and said, let's get Chuck to fight me.
Right.
I'm not surprised about that at all.
Do you know that they said it was only like 25,000 pay-per-view buys?
That's what I heard. That kind of sucks.
That's crazy.
It's horrible.
Low. That's so low. That must have cost everybody money.
Like, I have more Instagram followers than that.
It was a hard sell, and the undercard wasn't so good either. It wasn't like there was a lot of like big names on the undercard that's going to draw people in where they're going to go, well, it's going to be great fights no matter what.
Yeah, the undercard was not that great.
No.
You know, you saw the whole show?
No.
Yeah,
just
because
looked
that's
at it
right.
on
You didn't
paper. I
see
know who
Derek
the
win.
was.
But the undercard was not great. And then the Tito Chuck fight. I mean, Tito looks like the much better striker, much more accomplished striker in that fight. And like
Crazy.
Tito Ortiz knocked out Chuck Liddell. That's like a phrase I never thought I would hear, and it'd be real. You know what I
But
mean?
isn't it also the case of not just Tito remaining active and staying competitive?
That's
and
exactly what it is.
It's that too, but it's also Tito's skills got better.
Yeah.
They definitely got better. Jason Perillo is an awesome instructor. I mean, he's a fantastic boxing coach, and he really tightened up Tito's hands and all of his techniques over the course of the years they were together. And the last time Tito and Chuck fought, iPhones hadn't been invented.
Yeah.
Think of that shit.
Yeah.
You know? No iPhones. People using sidekicks. Remember those? Remember those things?
I remember that.
Flip up the keyboard and everybody thought they were slick.
Yeah.
That was the last time they fought.
It's a different. MySpace was the thing.
It's a different world, man. It's just sad to see it go down like that. Where I mean, it would be one thing if it was a good fight. If like Tito looked like Chuck looked like Tito, because Tito looked good.
Yeah.
Chuck did not look good.
Right.
If they both looked good and they put on their best fight, and then Tito wound up winning. Good for him. But it wasn't that. It was one guy was just a shell of himself.
So what kind of fight for Tito, or a rematch for Tito, would make sense to that you think would sell? Is there one?
Tito versus Chael will sell a little bit. I mean, he's been calling Chael out, saying, I want to kick your ass, but I think that was probably before the pay-per-view numbers came in. And then they're like, oh, Oscar De La Hoya.
Chael's like, nah.
He's probably got 15 voicemails on Oscar's phone. Oscar ain't calling back. Oscar's just sitting there going, fuck. Tito Ortiz willing to postpone retirement to kick Chael Sonnen's ass again. Yeah, see? But the thing is, he's going to try to do that with Oscar and Golden Boy, and that's going to sell 13,000 pay-per-view buys. Nobody's going to buy that.
Well, I mean, if Chael gets on the marketing, somebody will buy it.
Look, if they could figure out a real competitive fight for Tito against someone who's got a big name, I don't know who that big name would be, but he could still sell some.
Did you see somebody posted these? I think Hanato Laranja posted these 2 videos of Tito where it was like somebody was asking him, how does he feel about this fight with Chuck? And he's like, I'm a much better fighter than I was 12 years ago. I'm a much better fighter. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. I'm younger. I'm like,
He said he's younger. Tito gets a little flustered with the mic.
Yeah.
Said he wanted to outlive his kids too. Like, dude, that's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He also said the guy was like, so who's making the money off of the pay-per-view? Is it just you? Is it all the fighters on the card, or is it just you and Chuck? And he's like, yeah, it's me, myself, and Chuck. We're gonna make the money off of the pay-per-view. You know, he just gets flat and he just powers through these things.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's not a talker's business. It's a fighter's business.
Yeah.
It's weird, you know, you're asked to be several things. And when a guy like Connor comes along, or a guy like Colby Covington,